fork shredded pulled pork. This recipe only needs 4 ingredients and 20 minutes of pressure time. That's coming up on the Last Minute Cook. Hi, I'm Deborah. You're watching the Last Minute Cook, where I share delicious recipes that are quick so that you can make dinner at the last minute and feel good about what you're serving. If you're new here, consider subscribing. Ring that little bell so you'll be notified of my episodes as they're posted. So today we're making pulled pork so tender you can fork shred it. And I'm only going to use 4 ingredients, and that includes the pork. This one's easy, it's quick, and it's delicious. Now, yes, you can go outside and smoke your pork. You can slow cook it, you can do it all day, but we're last minute sometimes, right? And if we have a craving for something like pulled pork, I'm showing you how we can do it way quick and way delicious. What are our ingredients? Today we are using, I've got 4 pounds of a pork loin here. You can use whatever cut that you like. The butt, the shoulder, I'm using the loin. We are going to be using a cup of your favorite barbecue sauce. You can, of course, make your own if you want to make it from scratch, but if you have one you like, just need a cup of that. Also, we're going to use a 1/4 cup of honey. So we need this, don't skip this one. So you can improvise on most of this, but the honey, we're going to need that. And then the other ingredient we're going to be using is some beer or root beer. If you don't like to cook with alcohol, you can use root beer, but otherwise I'm suggesting a cup of a beer that you would like to drink, maybe a darker one like an amber or darker, and I'll talk about that later on, but these are our basic ingredients. And I'm going to show you one very important tip is starting in how we're cutting our pork. So what we want to end with is a tender fork shredding pork. So how you cut that matters. Okay, so I'm just cutting this in half so it's easier to work with this way. After we cut this, I'm then going to cut it along the fiber of this meat. So when you're doing that, it's going to be a lot easier to it just opens right up. Look how smooth that is. So you're turning it and going lengthwise, cutting along the fibers, and it just cuts right down for you. And we're going to cut each of these into 3 or 4 lengths. I do also recommend, and I went ahead and cut these 4 without doing it, but to remove the fat, I recommend that you take that off before we go into the Instant Pot. So just using your knife and fork just to get that off. And since I've already cut these 4 slices, I'm just going to turn them over and go ahead and get those taken off real quick too. There we go. That's it. You know, this pork, we're not giving it a lot of time to cook, so we want to help it absorb the flavors and become tender for us. So just giving it some puncture here. Okay, then this just goes right into your pot. Now there's no way you're going to get a full single layer. It's not going to lay, there's too many pieces, but we're going to make this work, and you're going to end up with a good amount of pulled pork. So you can serve to a crowd or save and freeze some, do some, meal prep for the week. And I've got some suggestions of what you can do with this as well. That's coming here in a little bit. All right, so then we are going to pour our 1/4 cup of honey onto our pork loin. And then we're going to take a second just to kind of make sure it's all coated. I'm just going to lift up this these pieces and toss them just to make sure it's all coated. We are adding our beer, our 1 cup of beer. You can go with a lighter like a lager. May give you like a sweeter taste, but use whatever beer that you like the taste of. Then we're going to add our 1 cup of barbecue sauce right on there. And we're going to add 1 teaspoon of paprika. Just sprinkle that right into the pot, and then we'll just give it a little stir to make sure everything is mixed. Pressure cooker for manual pressure. We're going to go on high. So make sure you're on pressure cook, 20 minutes on high, and on the ultra we need to hit start. Don't forget to do that. Make sure you're in sealing, not venting. And also make sure, tip number 2, you're using a room temperature beer. So we give our pressure cooker an easier chance of preheating because we don't want to start with cold beer in there. It wouldn't be the end of the world if you did, but it does speed things along if you've got beer at room temperature or root beer or whatever liquid there that you're using. Okay, we'll check back. I'm gonna do our 20-minute pressure cook, probably allow about a 15-minute natural release, and then we'll take it from there. Okay, 20 minutes on high pressure. It preheated, and then a 15-minute natural release. And I'm going to just pull this out and show you how tender this is and ready for just fork shredding. The way we cut it, that lengthwise, and the ingredients that we used are giving us, look at this. Look how easy this just comes right. And so when you fork shred, you can see how the fibers are, do you see this? How they're just kind of going this way. That's the direction that you want to pull from when you're doing the shredding, so you're not working against it. You're having it work with you. So just pull the way it wants to pull. There we go. So this is going to take just a second. I'm going to pull this apart. So if I try to go at all sideways, it gets a little bit tough. Just go right along with those fibers, and they're just going to pull right apart for you. It's so tender that even just pulling it out of the Instant Pot, it wants to fall apart. The amount of pulled pork you get for the money you're spending, and you're making it yourself. You can control the spiciness level, all the flavors, just how you like it. And keep some on hand. Throw it in the freezer, pull from it for the week, for work, for school. And there's so many fun ways you can serve this, which we're gonna do in just a second. Okay, fork shredded. We're gonna put it right back into our Instant Pot so that the meat can take on all of this delicious sauce. Okay, and then I'm just gonna mix it and let that warm up for a minute. That will thicken a little bit shortly. If you like a thicker sauce before you add that meat back in, you could of course whisk in some flour or some dissolved cornstarch into it, and then heat it up and thicken it up if you want it thicker. There's a tip for you. Otherwise, just pour the meat right back in, and then when you pull the meat back out, you've got this nice, marinated pulled pork ready to go. One reminder, if you have not given me a thumbs up, and if you happen to like this video, please do that. Let me know by clicking that button. And also, before I show you plating this and that tip, you might like to serve your fork shredded pulled pork with my Chuck Wagon pinto style beans. So check that video out as well, because that's another super easy and delicious side to go with this. First, do a pulled pork sandwich, because I think one of the first things I think of when I think of pulled pork is a nice pulled pork sandwich, loaded. So we're gonna do that. Okay, load that up. You could drizzle the sauce all over there. On my pulled pork sandwiches, I like to go a little bit of jalapeno, a little dill, and that does it for me. I love this right here. Then another fun way to serve pulled pork is, and for quick, if you've got this on hand, a super quick meal to get everybody fed is to grab a couple of tortillas and make a pulled pork quesadilla. I like the pickled jalapenos because those are easy to keep in the pantry or in the fridge on hand, and I don't have to prep and core and chop and all that, and these are just ready to go, and you can kind of have more of a controlled spice level. I like to throw in some cilantro with the barbecue and the jalapeno and the pork, and the cilantro is a delicious combination. And then we're gonna throw in a little bit of cheese on that. And then this is just gonna go right into the oven. I usually go about 350 for about 5 minutes. So these are two really fun and winner ways of serving this pulled pork. Baked potato. Cook your spud, top it with some pulled pork, throw some cheese and some sour cream on there, and you've got dinner there too. So lots of fun things you can do with pulled pork. And now you've got a way you can make it in 20 minutes of pressure time and have restaurant level, stay at home, it's better, fork shredded pulled pork. Okay, reach out below. Let me know if you have a chance to make this at your home and how it turned out for you. And if you have a chance, check out those Czech wagon beans as well because they go so good with barbecue like this. Thanks so much for watching and bon appetito.